Hello, my name is Miss Ashley from Febo Kids Art Academy, and today we're going to be drawing a kite in honor of the Kite Festival that happens every March in Texas. Meanwhile, every spring, cherry blossom trees bloom all over the world, including in Washington, D.C. So for our project today, we will be drawing both. But before we get started with our project, I'm going to be reading a book called Kite Flying. For a list of supplies, be sure to check the description of this video. Kite Flying by Grace Lin. The wind is blowing. It is a good day for kites. Mama joins sticks together. Baba glues the paper. Jieji paints a laughing mouth. I add dragon eyes. We all help attach the noisemaker. Dragon, are you ready to fly? Look up, our dragon is talking to the wind. What do you think he is saying? Many people believe that kite flying began in China over 2,000 years ago. The ancient Chinese believed that kites could carry away their bad luck and talk to the spirits in the sky. While the first kites were probably rectangular, elaborate kites of dragons, birds, and insects were eventually constructed from bamboo and paper or silk, each shape symbolizing traits that the person flying the kite wished to possess. The dragon kite, for example, symbolizes wealth, wisdom, and power. People also attached bamboo strips to their kites so that the kites would make a ringing noise when flown. This noise was similar to the sound made by the zong, a Chinese stringed instrument. The Chinese word for kite is fengzheng, meaning windzheng. Flying kites had become a cherished pastime. The annual Kite Flying Festival is held on the 9th day of the 9th month and is now sometimes referred to as the Double Nine Festival. Traditionally, however, the festival was called Tongkao, which is translated literally as ascending high, because people had to climb to high ground in order to fly their kites. Kite flying soon spread to other countries. Japan, Thailand, and India all have their own kite traditions with different festivals, customs, ceremonies, and legends. For example, in Thailand, during the month of March, an annual kite flying tournament is held. The Western world has also been much involved with the kite, even using it for weather forecasting, flight, and radio. Many people are familiar with Benjamin Franklin's electrical experiments during thunderstorms using a metal key and a kite, but few people know that a kite helped to build the bridge over the Niagara Gorge between the United States and Canada. But now the kite is mainly flown for fun. The styles and materials have changed, but adults and children all over the world enjoy flying kites, an ancient and modern pleasure. For example, these kites right here each symbolize something. We've got different animals, such as the dragon, means wisdom and power. The moth represents industry. Dragonfly represents summer. A butterfly means love. What looks like a crab repels bad magic. And a goose means faithfulness. A frog means long life, and a goldfish means abundance. And the moth means joy, and the phoenix means peace. All right, so now that we know a little bit more about kites, we can go ahead and get started with our project. Now with your kite, you'll actually be able to design it in any way you want. Maybe you want to give it a face like a dragon or draw a fish on it. That's totally up to you, but we're gonna go ahead and get started with our practice draw. So you will need a scratch piece of paper and making sure that you are using a pencil, but I'll be using a Sharpie so you can see my lines. Make sure that your paper is vertical, which means up and down, And we're going to draw a plus sign, only that our plus sign is a little bit longer at the bottom. These are the sticks that hold the kite together. Then we need to connect each of those lines with a slanted line. And then we'll connect the bottom. Awesome, good job on making that kite. We need to give our kite a tail next by drawing kind of what looks like a letter S. Now our kite is high in the air, so we want to show that there's a hill below it. We're going to draw a rainbow starting from the left side, curve all the way to the right. And then we'll draw a road by drawing one curve and another curve. Make sure that those curves go farther apart at the bottom. And that's actually it for our practice draw, so we can go ahead and put that aside and get ready for our final draw. We're going to add a few more details to our final draw, including those cherry blossom trees. But first, let's go back to drawing our kite again by drawing that plus sign with a longer bottom. All right, and again, make sure that this part down here is a little bit longer. Then we'll connect. Good job on drawing that kite. If you need to go back and rewatch that, you can go ahead and do so. Now I'm going to draw, kind of looks like a letter S. And this time I'm going to add what look like little bows. So I'm just going to come out almost like I'm drawing some small triangles. Great job, and now we're going to add that hill. So we're going to start on the bottom left, curve all the way to the right side of our paper. Now we're going to draw but first before we draw those trees, let's go ahead and draw that road first by one curve and another curve. Again, make sure that those curves start to go farther apart at the bottom of the paper. Now we can start to draw our cherry blossom trees. We're going to draw two rather large ovals on each side of our kite. Great job. And then we'll add that trunk by going to the bottom middle of our ovals. Draw a line down and curve, line and curve, and same on the other side. Curve and curve. Now, if you would like, you can draw more kites to your picture. However, I'm just going to draw some clouds and a sun. But if you want to add more kites to your picture, you can go ahead and do that. After all, our picture is inspired by the Kite Festival. But I'm going to add a sun right here by drawing a circle. Then I'm going to draw a cloud by drawing a rainbow, a letter C, backward C, and a U-shaped curve. Great job on drawing that cloud. I'm going to draw one more cloud by drawing a rainbow, letter C, backward C, and a U-shaped curve. Awesome. Again, if you want to add more kites to your picture, you can maybe draw one up here, or maybe one got stuck in a tree, hopefully not. That's totally up to you, but you want to add more to your picture. But I'm just going to leave my picture like this. So when you are done with your picture, it should look something like this. This is mine drawn only in pencil. I'm going to go ahead and put my pencil aside because I no longer need it. And we're going to be moving on to coloring. But before we start coloring, we do need to outline our entire picture. So make sure that you grab that Sharpie, put that cap on the back. You're going to go ahead and outline all of your pencil lines. Now, if you're still maybe adding some more kites to your picture, maybe you wanted that extra cloud, you can always go ahead and pause that video. I'm just going to take my time to outline my entire picture. Again, take your time with those lines. All right, I'm not going to forget the tail and the triangles. I'll go back to my sun. And my trees. All right, and I'm just going to go over that hill and add my path. And once you are done outlining your entire picture, I'm going to go ahead and take an eraser and erase any pencil lines you see. So I have a few in my cloud up here. And on my kite as well. I'm going to try my best to brush off any of those eraser shavings that I have on my picture. I have a few in my trees as well, and my sun. All right, and when you are done with that, you can go ahead and put away your eraser. And the first thing that we're going to be using are our markers. Now, because this is your kite, you can choose any color that you want, and you can even have more than just one color. However, I do recommend just choosing about maybe one or two colors for your kite. I'm going to be sticking with one color. And I'm going to fill in my kite. Now, the reason why I am choosing only one color is because I will be adding some details in oil pastel. So I'm just going to take my orange, outline my kite. And as I'm outlining, I'm making sure that my cap is on the back. I'm getting as close as I can to my lines. So again, using those nice long strokes, making sure that I don't have any white spots in my kite. And you can choose more than just one color if you want. However, I do recommend sticking with just one or two because we will be adding details with oil pastel in a bit. You can go top to bottom or side to side, whatever is easiest for you when filling in your kite. All right, almost done with my kite. Trying to use up as much of this orange as I can. All right, that's actually the only step that we're going to be doing with our markers. We can go ahead and put those aside. And next we're going to be taking out our oil pastels. All right, with my oil pastels, the first thing I do want to do is I am going to be filling in those small triangles. I found some pencil lines. Make sure to take care of that. All right. Now I'm going to be using red at the bottom, but you can choose any color you want. All right, and we will actually come back to our markers in a short bit. However, I do want to explain this next step with our oil pastels because first what we're going to do is we're going to be adding some details onto our kite. Then we're going to be practicing blending with our sun and our clouds before we do some serious blending on our trees. So for right now, let's just start with our kite and add those designs. So for example, maybe if you want a simple pattern like some stripes on your kite, you can do that. Or if you want to design maybe an animal, like have a goldfish or a butterfly, that's up to you. I'm actually going to be drawing a fish in the middle of my kite. And you can draw that fish however you would like. And I'm going to make sure that it has some scales. You can even take your white. So we'll just take that moment to add that design onto our kite. I'm going to give my fish some blue eyes. And I can add some bubbles as well with some light blue so I know that it's in the water. Just add a nice fun pattern to the picture. Let's go ahead and take that moment to decorate your kite. And if you're still working on decorating your kite, you can always go ahead and press pause on the video. But I am now going to be moving on to filling in our sun. Now with oil pastels, you can actually blend colors together. So with our sun, what I want to do is I'm going to take my orange and I'm going to go around my sun. But I'm not going to fill it in because now I'm going to be taking my yellow. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your yellow and you're going to use short, hard strokes to blend along the orange. So make sure you are coloring with yellow on top of your orange or it won't blend. We want to practice this method for our trees because our trees are going to be using quite a bit of color. So make sure you are practicing in your sun on how to blend those oil pastels. Remember, we outlined the inside with orange and now we're going over with short, hard strokes with yellow. So again, just using short, hard strokes to blend on the orange. All right, we're actually going to do the same thing to our clouds, only this time we're going to be using gray only for the bottom. So I'm just using gray right here. And we'll be doing that same thing that we did with the sun, only with the gray, we're going to be using white. So this creates a nice shadow line. So I'm going to take my white and I'm going to use short, hard strokes to blend on my gray and fill in my clouds. and short, hard strokes and fill in those clouds. And the reason we want to fill in our clouds with white is because we will be using watercolor in that background. That way we'll make sure that when we use watercolor, the watercolor and the oil pastels won't mix onto those clouds because we want nice white clouds. I'm just using short, hard strokes to fill it in. It's a little bit tricky to see that white, so if you need to get really close to make sure that you're blending the white onto your gray and also filling in your entire cloud, you can always press pause on that video and make sure that you are filling it in. You don't want to miss any spots on your cloud. So now that we know how to blend with oil pastels, we need to go to our trees next. You have pink and peach and red in your picture, or excuse me, in your box. We're actually going to leave the red alone for a bit, and instead we're going to take our pink. Now what we're going to do is we're going to draw a circle or an oval inside of your cherry blossom trees. Go ahead and draw that circle using your pink. Because we're not going to fill in the circle, we're actually going to fill in around the tree here with our pink. So we need to use short, hard strokes to fill in our tree. Because those cherry blossoms, they are a whitish pink color. So we're using pink today. We need to make sure that we're using those short, hard strokes around the trees, not the inside circle. And same on this side, short, hard strokes. All right. Now that we've got those short, hard strokes, we're going to go ahead and put that pink away. And now we're going to take out our peach color. Oh, I saw a white spot. I'm going to quickly take care of that. We're going to take our peach, because this is more of like a lighter pink, also called pale orange. We need to do that same method that we did with our sun and our cloud. We need to use those short, hard strokes to blend into that pink. So you can start to see that that pale orange and our pink are blending together. So again, you use those short, hard strokes around it and fill in the middle. If you want to take that pale orange a little bit more into the pink, you can go ahead and do that as well. And we'll do the same thing on this side. So we're using those short, hard strokes, making sure that we're covering our tree with our pale orange. And that is how you blend with those oil pastels. All right, we do need to go finish our trees and our path. So what I want you to do real quickly is you're going to grab your brown marker. And we're going to fill in the tree trunks and the path. Again, just filling that in. Because we're now going to go back to our oil pastels. And we're going to add some lines into that path. I'm going to take my tan and I'm just going to draw some lines just to show that there is movement in that path. You can also take your brown and do the same thing. And I'll do some zigzags on the trees for bark. All right. Now remember how I said earlier with that red, we need to add some more blossoms to our tree. How you do that, you draw what kind of looks like a letter M, or maybe the silhouette of a bird, or maybe it's a number 3 on its side. We're just going to continue to draw those. So it looks like more blossoms are on that tree. You can even add more curves if you want to. Go ahead and add as many as you want so it looks like our trees are full of blossoms. Then for our final step with our oil pastels is we're going to be taking our green and we're going to add a shadow underneath our trees by using short hard strokes, and then we'll pinch and pull. And we're just pinching and pulling. Try your best to get that green wherever you can on the hill, but you still want to see some of that paper behind it. And pinch and pull. All right, take a look at your picture because we are going to be moving on to watercolors before we put our oil pastels away. Maybe if there's other things you want to add to your picture, maybe you want to add more to your goldfish or your dragon. That's up to you. I'm just going to add a few more before I move on to watercolors. And this is your kite, so you can get as creative as you would like. Maybe you want to draw your favorite animal. That's up to you. We're just going to add a few highlights to those bubbles as well. And I'll also add just a few more blue dots. All right, now that I'm done, I'm going to go ahead and put away my oil pastels and take out my watercolors next. Now the first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be painting our grass. Now I'm going to use yellow green, but you can use either green or yellow green. Just going to dip my brush in my water, wipe that extra water, swirl 1, 2, and 3, and paint my grass. As I said earlier, oil pastel and watercolor do not mix, so you should be able to still see your oil pastel on your paper. It creates a nice grassy texture. All right, I'm just going over, making sure that I've got all my grass painted. Now, if you want to, when your picture is dry, you can always go back and add some grass lines or maybe some dots for flowers. That's up to you. But I'm just going to leave my hill like this. So for example, earlier on my picture, I had added some grass lines at the bottom once it was completely dry. Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to make sure to clean my brush, and I am going to paint my sky. Now you can use any shade of blue, you can also do red violet, you can even do yellow like a sunset. I'm just going to stick with turquoise blue, and I'm just going to paint my sky. Now I'm trying my best to paint around my clouds, but if you do accidentally paint over your clouds or your sun, that's okay because oil pastel and watercolor don't mix. And that is one reason why we did paint color our clouds with our white oil pastel. Not just because of blending, but if you do get some of that paint on your clouds, it won't mix. So I'm just taking my brush, spreading that paint around. Now right here, I'm just going right over those small little bows. But make sure you are spreading your paint as best as you can. We don't want to have any puddles on our paper. If you do have puddles, just take your paintbrush and spread that paint around. You want that nice even layer of paint. Now, if you want to be more advanced on your picture, you can also do a nice gradient from light blue to dark blue or blue to purple. Today, I'm just going to be doing one solid color of blue. All right, just need to get some more water and spread that paint around. All right, and again, you can go right over those small bows because that watercolor and oil pastel will not mix. I'm almost done with my background. If you're done, maybe check to see if there are any white spots that you might have missed. Check to see if maybe you need to go back and add some more oil pastel anywhere. But I am almost finished painting my sky. All right, just spreading those puddles around, making sure it's a nice even coat of paint. Because now we are officially done with our picture. So again, you can always go back once your picture is dry if you want to add some flowers with oil pastels, or you want to add some more blossoms floating in the sky. You just very easily take that oil pastel and add any of those things. Plus, if you do want to add a little bit more to your kite, you can always go back and add some more. But my picture's done. I just need to let it dry for a little bit, so I'll just leave it on my table for it to dry as I clean my area, making sure that I'm getting my wet wipes, gonna clean my hands and my table, because we are officially done with our picture. Your table might be a little bit messy as well as your hands, so do make sure that you clean your area. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had a lot of fun learning about the Kite Festival and different symbols for those kites, such as like a dragon for wisdom and a goldfish for abundance. Please post your pictures online. We would love to see them at our FIBO Village page on Facebook. And we will see you next time. Bye.